Good Sunday morning and welcome to Inside Tennessee. I'm your moderator, John Becker. We are focused on the upcoming race for City Council. I want to show you the district map here to give you an idea of what we're talking about today. Look at the pink section on your screen right now. That is District 4. It is one of 5 seats up on the 9-member council. Again, we are going to see a majority of new faces on this City Council, and that's why this upcoming election in November is so important. These are the people who decide your taxes, what your police force looks like, what your parks look like, and what your roads look like. So we welcome to our broadcast this morning 2 candidates in the 4th District. Matthew DeBardelaben, it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you very much.
And Jeff Talman is with us as well.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you. I'm going to introduce our panel, then we'll get to questions. On the end there is Don Bosch. He is a Democrat, runs his own law firm.
Good morning, John.
Good morning. Susan Richardson-Williams is a Republican and runs her own PR firm.
Good morning.
Good morning. And this is my co-moderator, John North. You know him as WBIR veteran investigative journalist.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Let's start with you, Matthew, because you're on the end. Why are you running in District 4?
I'm running in District 4 because Knoxville is growing and there is no stop button. And I want to be a steward of positive growth in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Your short answer of why you're running, Mr. Talman.
Well, I have been a community activist, leader, believer in Knoxville, even in ways and in times when the community at large didn't even believe in itself. Agree with Matthew that we're on the verge of a golden age in growth. We just had a $1.8 billion announcement for 800 jobs in Roane County. We are about to lead the world in the responsible harnessing of the atom for civilizational needs for electricity. It is an exciting time to be in Knoxville. However, there's things we got to talk about.
Let's talk about some of those. One thing I want to get to right out of the gates is affordable housing and housing in general. Mayor Kincannon calls it the most pressing issue facing this city. The one thing that keeps her up at night is the idea that someone might be shot in this city. But second to that is housing. Do you agree with her?
Yes, the approach is different though. I've worked for the last 24 years in banking and in lending money for the urban revitalization in what had been the historically redlined part of the urban core of Knoxville. I understand how hard people have to work for their money to afford everything, but including housing. We've got to have a different conversation, in my view. Almost one in 5 Knoxvillians lives in subsidized housing. I think I think what happens with that is you don't necessarily have the incentives to become homeowners. It's a huge thing that we need to talk about, and the money goes into various mechanisms for affordable housing, and I think that there's different ways in which we can skin the cat. There are folks in the private sector who can provide same square footage housing for a fraction of the cost of what we're doing it for, and this is a critical financial literacy question for that big issue.
Your take on my question, Mr. DeBardelaben, and your reaction to what Mr. Talman has articulated.
So I think of 2 things when I think of affordable housing. One is affordable housing, which requires some financial assistance. The other is attainable housing, and that's when somebody like myself has a good job, makes a good amount of money, but can't afford to enter in the market either to buy a home, or we become rent burdened because we're spending more than 1/3 of our income on rent. So as affordable housing goes, I think it's our duty, and I think it's good for Knoxville for us to support housing for people who can't afford it on their own. And the thing I would love us, the way that we've done it so far is that we've created these pretty large housing environments, but what we haven't done is created public spaces in those environments, commercial opportunities, and I would love to see an affordable commercial element being added to it, where you can have a coffee shop, a pizza place, somewhere community gathers. So instead of being on an island, they actually become a community. And then as far as attainable housing goes, that really means working with engineering, permitting, planning, looking at what our codes are, what our ordinances are, and how we can make it more affordable for a local builder to build a quality product.
I want to jump right in and ask you about the sales tax proposal, which will be on the November ballot, and which, no offense, probably will draw a greater attention, simply because it's something that the mayor is proposing, a half-cent penny increase, if you will. I want to know what each of you think about that, and do you plan on voting for it? Matthew, I'll start with you.
So I'll share 2 things. Yes, I plan on voting for it. My vote will count as 1, and I plan on voting in for it to pass. And I do it for two reasons. One, Knoxville's growing, and as we grow, if we don't continue to build the physical and social infrastructure, we will not look like ourselves. We will look like Atlanta, we will look like Nashville and have those same problems. The second reason I support it is because growth is a great opportunity, but it's also a great challenge, and it's when the neediest among us often get left behind. And so thinking about applying some of those funds to affordable housing, I think is responsible. I also want the Tennessee football team to win the national championship, but I don't have agency in that. I can just cheer them on, and it's the same way with this initiative. I can cheer it on.
Jeff?
I'm emphatic no on the sales tax, and it's not just the sales tax in isolation. It's a more fundamental business plan for how we manage the city. My view is that you maximize private sector productive activity that we want to see more of, and for the city to frankly get out of the way and make it easier to do business in Knoxville while still maintaining the lowest level of taxation for our citizens. The precincts that I won in the primary and the people who voted for me in the strongest numbers were the people of the most modest means in the 4th District. There's no fat on their bone. We've got fixed income seniors, we've got wage earners, we've got people of very modest means. These are the folks that historically progressives and my friends on the left were most concerned about their well-being, and they are frankly falling off the map. So I want to see the revenue to have the city that we want, but to derive it and get it from other means.
Jeff, we've got to take a quick break. Don, you'll lead us off in the second part of our conversation with these two candidates in District 4. We'll be right back right after this. Back with our Sunday conversation with two candidates in District 4. Again, this is the City of Knoxville map, and we are looking at that pink part of your map in the north part of the city. Two candidates looking to win this race in November. Don?
So, Jeff, you said two things in that last block that it caught my ear. One, you mentioned your friends on the left. I assume you consider yourself a conservative. I know this is a nonpartisan election, but you line up on the right. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then two, you said you need the city to get out of the way. Now, I've been here 44 years, and I haven't seen the city get in the way much of major economic development. I think they've been pretty good at it. I think certainly the last four, I'll go back to Victor Ashe, 4 mayors have done a good job of fostering business and fostering appropriate use of regulations and codes and ordinance. Give me a specific instance where you think the city gets in the way of business development.
Well, let's talk about housing. The International Building Code of 2024, which just went into effect January 1, requires a whole variety of things that are discretionary from the city and are not required, and frankly make building a house a whole lot more expensive and complicated than prior. One of the things that, and it's in litigation, we're fans of UT Sports, and I've grown up with the mellifluous voice of John Ward and that sexy British lady getting me excited about using natural gas in my appliances. So one of the things that the International Building Code of 2024 does not allow is natural gas in the home utilization of your heating and cooling and that sort of thing. I got a problem with that. That's basically meddling, and it's informed by, I think, an over-the-top and disproportionate interpretation of climate change.
Well, in high-density housing, that's not uncommon not to have natural gas because it is a greater fire hazard than electric.
I'm fine with it, but it's the removal of the choice. It's the dogma that I've got the issue with.
Okay.
So,
Matthew, let me ask you the same questions to you. I mean, do you think the city has gotten in the way of economic development? And if so, give me an example.
I do think there's a way that they have, and I don't necessarily think it's adopting the building code. The building code was designed for safety and climate sustainability, and those are two very important things. I think where the city does get in the way is sometimes it's bad process. When somebody applies for a permit, it can be very cumbersome. They have to go before several councils. There's many layers before they get approved, and I would love to see us streamline that process. I don't think it's about, I think it's about doing something smarter.
Homelessness is a big problem in our community. We know that we've been struggling with it for years and years, and I still haven't seen anything that's actually happened. I mean, they're out west, they're up north, they're downtown. Everywhere you go, you see people that are homeless. What do each of you plan to do? Do you have a thought about it? Do you think it's a mental health crisis? We have veterans, we have drug addicts, we have all kinds of folks that are homeless. But how do we deal with it and make it better in our community? Matthew, I'll start with you.
I think the first way is to stop the growth of our homeless community. And we can do that several ways. So one main way is through addressing evictions that happen in Knoxville, Tennessee. And there's a group called Legal Aid of Tennessee, and they provide free counsel to people who are experiencing evictions. And their process is not necessarily to stop the eviction because somebody has not paid rent and it can go forward. But their process is to do two things. One, keep it off their permanent record so that when they get back on their feet and they apply for housing again, it's not on their permanent record that they were experiencing this issue. And then secondly, is to soften the fall. Get them 30 more days, 60 days, and give them counseling about what they can do and go to next instead of ending up in a hotel, ending up in a car, ending up in the street. So I think that's the first thing. Let's stop it from growing. The second thing is I really do believe that low barrier housing surrounded by services is a positive way forward. And I have not seen a collective effort. There are lots of different groups in Knoxville who are doing it in different ways, but I'm not seeing a collective strategy of that.
Something you think the city should initiate?
I think the city has to do it with private partners. It will take resources beyond the city, and there are compassionate partners out there, and I think they should get on the same page.
What's your perspective, Mr. Talman?
Well, I live in close proximity to the intersection of Fifth Avenue and Broadway, and the scene there is total chaos. You can't say with a straight face that you drive on that street and say that these folks are being groomed for responsible tenancy for the next available housing unit. It's not a serious thing. The first thing we need to do is be honest with ourselves and quit calling it the unhoused. These are homeless people. There's an addiction issue. There's a mental health issue. And on the edges of it, there's a criminal element that preys on these fragile people and the rest of us. What we've done in Knoxville, like many other places, is we've confused compassion and permissiveness. Now, the state has conducted a study that has quantified the need for a facility and greater facilities. My view is that needs to happen sooner than later. We are 5 minutes away from something tragic, a murder like which happened in Charlotte recently. That's right here. The post office that
could happen anywhere.
It could. I'm just saying, but this requires vigilance on everybody's part.
Jeff, are you talking about scooping people up and putting them in a facility against their will if they're homeless?
I'm saying that it's worthy of consideration. You can't cap out on somebody's front steps. Let me finish. So the post office station that John North and I go to right down the street, right around the corner, 37917. Unlike any other postal station in Knoxville, that's closed. The lobby is closed to post office people after hours. That's the only one. As far as I'm concerned, that's civilizational retreat. We have a shopping center just down the street, Broadway Shopping Center. We lost our hardware store because of theft and chaos at the front door. We're in a downward mobility in terms of the quality of stores that are there. These are real issues, and so we need to put the larger perspective. What we're seeing now with regard to our homeless situation, there's nothing compassionate about what we're experiencing right now.
One philosophy that has been predominant in our community for a long time is housing first. Get people in housing, and then you can get them stable if they are having a problem with addiction or battling some other ail. Do you agree with that strategy and philosophy? Housing first get them into housing and then treat the problem?
It sounds great. Many of the people that we're talking about have already lost housing. They've lost the availability to live with their families. They've been kicked out of places. They've been deemed to be unsuitable tenants for places. Again, the whole idea, the incentive structure that we've got, that we're just one available unit away from a responsible situation, it's not serious.
And Matthew, just quickly, only a few seconds left. Do you agree with the housing first philosophy, or do you think it's a different approach?
I agree with it, and I don't think we've done it effectively in Knoxville.
All right, we've got to take a quick break on Inside Tennessee. Back with more of our questions of the District 4 candidates running in November for your vote. Back after this. It's our Sunday conversation with two candidates in the city of Knoxville. We're going to try to talk to all of them before the election. John?
Jeff, earlier in this race, the Election Commission established that you are a resident of District 4, although you hadn't sort of laid your head on a pillow in District 4 for a while, for a few years. My question is this. You've got a construction site, I think at 4th and Gill, roughly. I haven't driven out to it in the last few days. When are you moving in? When is that your home?
As soon as I can, and hopefully while I'm still young. So if you want to talk about the permitting process in Knoxville, if you were to build a birdhouse, they'd require you to put a bicycle rack in with it. It's crazy. And so I'm excited about this piece of property I've owned since 2016. I'm excited to renovate and build this awesome house. This is a neighborhood I've been committed to for 40 years. This is the 3rd ground-up renovation I've done, the 5th house I've lived in, and I've been a champion for living in Center City when nobody else really was enthusiastic about it, when they thought that downtown was just for bats and werewolves. So I'm excited about it and welcome the question in terms of my residency and my commitment to the community.
Where are you staying now?
My wife has property in Jefferson County.
So not in the 4th District?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course, as you well know, Don, I've satisfied the state's legal requirement and litigated that.
You are certified to run in the 4th District?
That's correct.
That's correct. But you're not living there right now?
No, that's correct. We'll be back, though.
Jeff, I noticed your favorite quote is, "Don't solve problems, pursue opportunities." I'd like both of you to tell me what you think your priority would be if you're elected to the council. What are the opportunities that are out there that would be your priority? Jeff, I'll start with you.
Well, I think one of the things is City Council needs to be seen as a board of directors with a chief executive officer, mayor, and the citizens as shareholders in that enterprise. And I think one of the things that I'll be committed to is a institutional emboldening of City Council. We've seen, frankly, a lot of heat generated in our community. Chilhowie Park's Exhibit A, actually the rollout of the sales tax issue. We had the State of the City address at the stadium. There was angels in the outfield. Everything was great with our budget. We had the first reading of the budget, and then a hastily called press conference on the eve of the second reading. Oh, by the way, we need to squeeze another $50 million out of the citizens and go to the referendum. Even if I were in council, even if I were for the sales tax effort, you've just basically emasculated me as a board member of the enterprise. And so I think one of the things, and I say this not to diminish the authority of the executive. We need a strong mayor, but I think the pitiful civic participation in Knoxville, as evidenced by the vote count, will only be enhanced by having a more energized, council. So.
What's your perspective on the top priority?
Again, I think two things: physical infrastructure and social infrastructure. And so physical infrastructure primarily involves housing and roads. I think about the times when I'm most frustrated, it's driving on roads, the way that we get around town. And so I think that we need to work with TDOT. We need to work in our neighborhoods for traffic calming strategies and with TDOT to reduce congestion. One of the most exciting things happening right now, in my mind, is on Middlebrook with the light signals, where they're doing priority and preemptive technology, and it'll be the first time in Knoxville that it's rolled out, and it'll allow things like emergency vehicles, but also CAT transportation, our public bus system, which one of the things that is most difficult about CAT right now, which is we have a great fleet, electric, it's the reliability, it's the regularity, it's people are late to work and they just can't take it. I'm hoping that this is a technology, and it's a very affordable technology because the infrastructure is already there.
Jeff, you brought it up. Should the city sell 13 acres of Chilhowie Park to the Emerald Youth Foundation?
I'm not sure if they should. I'm very fond of Steve Diggs and what Emerald does. In fact, we need to fully appreciate there is real urgency in East Knoxville with regarding cultural issues, health issues, and that sort of thing. They do a great job. The fair's going to land in a great place where we have a permanent ag facility with equestrian and farmers market and all the rest. But I think removing, selling a piece of real estate is a complicated issue. I'm not sure that's the only place that Emerald can go.
Your perspective on that potential sale?
I think that the mayor's office and the mayor owe us greater transparency, and don't need to do these things and then just roll it out and ask for a vote. I think they need to work with the community. So that's the first thing, is we need community involvement, and that has not happened, especially on the second site that's there. The second thing that needs to happen is there needs to be true community benefits. That needs to be guaranteed, demonstrated and guaranteed. And so it's great to put a sports field there, but what if kids from Powell and Halls and West are coming there? What about the children in that community? How are we going to ensure that this actually benefits the community directly?
Finally, one last 30 seconds. Jeff, what's the one thing you want people to think about when they go to the ballot box and vote for you? And the same question to you, Matthew. First, you.
Well, it's great to be back on Bill Williams Drive. Knocked on his door. He voted for me in the primary, and we had a great conversation when I was there about the late Edie Ellis. I worked with Edie on 9 Counties, 1 Vision. I was a initiating committee and steering committee member of that. I'm civic minded. I'm a communitarian. I believe in Knoxville. I believe that we need to help people afford living here first and foremost, and focused on our gotta-dos before we address our wanna-dos.
Matthew.
We love Knoxville. Knoxvillians love sharing Knoxville with people. And as we grow, the great danger is that we no longer feel like Knoxville. And so I want to see Knoxville be a place that still feels like itself as it grows. I'm standing up for the spirit of Knoxville.
Matthew DeBardelaben, Jeff Talman, thanks to both of you, and best of luck in the campaign.
Thank you
very much.
We're back with our talk around right after this. Back on Inside Tennessee. Again, this has been a difficult week for all of us who pay attention to what's happening around our country and around the world. Susan, 9/11 and the assassination of Charlie Kirk, just 2 things we saw in addition to a school shooting in Colorado.
Yes, and a stabbing in Charlotte of the young Ukrainian woman. It's a very difficult week for those of us who engage in political conversations and discourse. And, you know, this country, I grew up in the 60s, and there were so many assassinations that I lived through.
I was going to see.
And honestly, this week has felt like that to me.
That was a rough decade for that.
It was a very difficult time, and I think we're in it again. It was a lot of the civil rights issues in the 60s. Now it's just this horrible hate each other.
A lot of angry people and people who can't talk to each other.
Can't talk to each other.
Don, you've been on this program for almost 30 years.
32 years.
And you and Susan have been able to talk to each other, even though you disagree fundamentally on some serious principles.
Yeah, the commercial breaks are more interesting.
Yes.
We are friends.
We are friends, and we do disagree a lot on politics, but we find more in common than apart. And that's the problem. We are now, as a society, and just call it red, blue, Democrat, Republican, progressive, conservative, we are deciding no matter what it is the other one's for, it cannot be good. And I'll drill down on the Charlie Kirk murder, which is terrible and awful. And I'm a progressive, liberal, Democrat. It is terrible to happen to anybody. It should never happen, no matter what you say. But also at the same time, it's fair. You can do 2 things at once. Charlie Kirk fostered a lot of hatred in this country, and a lot of, demonized a lot of marginalized groups. And we have to get away all the way from it. And again, it's no reason for Charlie Kirk to be killed. It should never be a reason for anybody to be killed.
But I was going to say, in some defense of Charlie Kirk, he did bring in a lot of young people, and he debated people who disagreed with him.
And it's a question
and that
of
was
what he
valuable.
fostered. That's
that
right.
was very
it's
valuable.
what he fostered, and he did bring in a lot of people. He engaged a lot of people. Hopefully that will grow and learn from it.
He struck a note with young people, which you can argue that a lot of Democrats have failed to do.
That's correct.
He struck a note.
With that.
I mean, the turnout you could see on college campuses, even if it wasn't all like fans of his, they were curious and wanted to hear what he had to say.
We appreciate you watching and engaging on this Sunday morning. We hope you have a restful rest of your weekend.